Hi, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to talk about named tuple. So we're importing named tuple from the collection module. Okay. Here we're defining a named tuple called point with two fields x and y, and we are assigning it to a variable called point. Then we are here creating an instance called p of the point with x equals 3 and 4. Okay, why x equals 3 and 4? Because we are creating an instance of point. Okay, and then the point has x and y, so 3 equals x and 4 equals y here. And in order to access the values, we can use dot notation. So we use the print function. We will have p.x and comma p.y to access these 3 and 4. And also we can print the entire named tuple instance. So when I run this code, for this line, p.x and p.y, we are having numbers 3 and 4 that we assigned here. Then when we are printing the entire named tuple instance, we see that it says point coming from here, and x equals 3, y equals 4. So this is how the named tuple can be created. But why do we need named tuple and we're not using regular tuple here? Let me clarify it. So using the regular tuple, it's a bit hard to read. For example, when we are having a tuple called point, we are having two elements, 3 and 4. And when we want to print them, we simply print the element with index 0 and print the element with index 1, which is 4. So it's we sometimes we need to think, okay, what is point the index 0 of the point tuple, and what about this one? So you need to remember that the index 0 of the point tuple means x, and index 1 of the point tuple means y. So we need to remember it. This is a bit hard when we are having like 200, 300, maybe 2000 lines of code that you need to remember. For example, in certain specific tuples, the first element is x and the second element is y. Therefore, it's easier for us to use named tuple over the regular tuple, because as you see it here, we are using the named tuple and we are simply importing the class from the module, and then we are having a class a named tuple, sorry, with x and y. And when we are creating an instance of the point, we see that 3 and 4 are x and y because we are simply using p.x and p.y. So when we call p.x, the first element is called. When we write p.y, the second element is called. So we don't have to worry about the thing that we may not remember the first element of which tuple is x, for example, or the second element of which tuple is y, etc. So it's clear and readable, and you don't need to remember index positions. This is the first reason why named tuple are very good. Secondly, we have regular tuples that are mutable, so we can modify them. For example, here I'm having a tuple called point. It has two elements, 3 and 4, and we can reassign the whole tuple. We can have 5 and 6 now to be assigned to the same tuple. However, when we are having named tuple, they are immutable, so we cannot modify them. Once we create an instance of that named tuple, for example, with x equals 3 and y equals 4, we cannot reassign the x to be 5 now. They are immutable and we're going to have errors. So this protects data integrity for us. It's very important. And for example, here, let me create another one, another named tuple. We can have point 2 x and y. Then here I create an instance of the point 2. Here instead of 3 and 4, I would say simply 5 and 8, for example. If I want to access the elements, the values, we can use the dot notation as we discussed. So I write down print, then I say the name of the instance, which is p2.x and p2.y. So when we have this, we expect to see 5 and 8 in the output. And here we can also print the whole name tuple instance to have it completely printed. So here when I print p.x and p.y as before, we see 3 and 4. Then when I have the second instance p2.x and p2.y, 5 and 8 are printed in the output as you see it here. And then we entirely print the named tuple instance, which is x equals 3 and y equals 4, which are these ones that are assigned to our instance. And finally, when we are printing the entire p2 name tuple, we are having the x equals 5 and y equals 8. So this is how actually we can use name tuples, and we discussed about the advantages of name tuple over the regular tuples. Thank you for watching.